Hello, and welcome to the PC Gaming Weekspot, your recap of the last 7 days in PC video gaming. And what we're hoping is that people watch this from home and they have a moment and get into the spirit of the festival. Because this week's Weekspot is a little bit different. It is, well, because of the Bank Holiday Monday, Good Friday, we weren't able to record at a normal time, so we've had to record a little bit earlier. Keep that in mind when we talk about the news in case, I don't know, Microsoft have bought Nintendo or something and they're going to release Mario on PC. But yeah, because of that, Matthew wasn't able to record this week's one because of prior engagements. So I've called on two old friends of mine. It is, firstly, Josh Wise. Hello, Josh.
Hello.
And secondly, Rich Walker.
Hello.
So, Josh Wise from... I'll allow you plug all your stuff later on anyway, but...
That's the only reason we're here.
Of course. Yeah. Paid in exposure, as you say. Josh, obviously, VideoGamer.com. Rich, Xbox Achievements, PlayStation Trophies. We did the VideoGamer podcast for, I don't know, 2 years maybe together?
Yeah, 2 years, I think. Roundabout, yeah.
The legendary Video Gamer podcast. Yeah.
So yeah, I've asked you to come on this week. But as I did then, lads, I have one trick and I just repeat it over and over. Of course, I was referencing something in culture in the past week. So what was I referencing? Can you remember? It's a while since I said it.
Pop culture.
I'll tell you,
I don't know pop culture.
Those were the words of Glastonbury organiser Emily Evis. Okay. As Glastonbury is going ahead this year, it's going to be...
That's mental.
Is it? I mean, come on.
That's mad.
Well,
what are they thinking?
Not with people. It's going to be live streamed, like but not on the red button. Like you have to pay 20 quid. It's a ticket.
Oh god!
It's a ticketed
so
live
hold
stream.
on. The bands play to a big empty muddy field.
Yeah, with a load of webcams set up or something.
That's bizarre. Will they simulate the crowd noise like they do in football?
Maybe, yeah. With the bands just sort of shouting, "Hello, everybody," and then they have to pipe in some,
just like old recordings of.
Woo. Yeah, that's weird, isn't it? That's weird. Yeah. I mean, it's better than just them being irresponsible and going, "Yeah, Glastonbury, let's do it," but. It's also weird. It's like it's not going ahead as usual, is it? Who's doing Glastonbury? Do they know?
Well, I'm glad you asked, Josh, because the names that have been announced, it's a 1 day thing, and they've announced Haim, Idols,
cool,
Damon Albarn, and I believe it seems like they're headlining. I mean, they're the biggest name, I suppose, and Coldplay. So you can look forward to those, as you say, Rich, the kind of football chants of "fix you" and clocks. It'd be
good if they mix up the sound banks. And they're like, "Oh no, we've played the football one." Come on, woo!
But so we are recording this a little bit earlier, a few days earlier. So some things, I don't know, if big news happens, then we'll talk about it on the next episode of the Week Spot. But before we get on to the bigger news stories this week, lads, I'm going to ask you to grab your news cranks and open those gobs as wide as possible because I have some information snacks for you.
Info snacks for his gob.
Lads, I don't know why I include this as an information snack, actually, because it is the biggest thing we're going to be talking about today, because boy, howdy.
How did we not see it coming? Brilliant.
Sega accidentally accused SteamDB, which is a database that tracks Steam games, of illegally distributing Yakuza Like a Dragon.
Bit embarrassing.
A bit embarrassing, yeah. Sega issued a statement shortly afterwards saying that their anti-piracy software quote, incorrectly flagged SteamDB, which is silliness. Not a great look. It's kind of like when you hear of, I don't know, to use Coldplay as an example, a Chris Martin track being flagged as a content ID on YouTube by the record company or something.
Yeah.
So yeah.
Ouch. Did Steam say anything like, come on, check your sources yet again? Like, did they respond?
I think this was kind of the extent of it, really.
Brilliant.
To be fair, like Steam GB isn't associated with Steam; it is its own.
Oh, it's just
entity.
Oh, okay.
So
Fair do.
Yeah. In other news, and this was after about a fortnight ago or so, 2K said that they were going to be partnering up with Tiger Woods for their next golf game, which is a big deal because, you know, he obviously he was involved with EA Sports for quite a while. Well, EA Sports, not to be outdone, have said we're getting back in the golf game with EA Sports PGA Tour. And like, because we don't really have this, I don't know, do we? We don't really have it in any other, like football. I mean, FIFA and PES, but PES has just gone, it's dwindled in the last couple of years.
It has, yeah.
NBA, EA stopped making them, Rich, didn't they, I think?
They did, yeah. I think they tried to bring it back with...
They did 19.
19? Yeah, and the thing is, 2K is so definitive, a basketball game, you sort of, yeah.
But the thing is that's good about that one is that it isn't just a battle over licenses, whereas with FIFA and PES, it's just FIFA can say, well, we have all the teams. Whereas at least with EA and 2K, it's like, well, we have to decide which is better on the court rather than just we have the jerseys and you don't sort of thing.
Yeah,
so that's
exactly.
Nice.
Can either of you think of another sport where there's two big options? Because I can't.
No, not really. Back in the day with wrestling and stuff, you had Ukes, and then who were the people that made Warzone? I'm trying to think of like with the PS1 era wrestling games and PS2 era wrestling games. Wasn't there like a split back in the day over wrestling? I feel like there was Ukes and another company.
Xbox. There were PlayStation. SmackDown was the Xbox one, and Raw. Or sorry, SmackDown was the PlayStation one, and Raw was the Xbox one. Okay.
All right.
So we're looking at a golf tussle, a WrestleMania-sized tussle, which is good.
Are they going to rope Rory McIlroy back in, do you think?
Does he still have the same cachet as he did when they first brought him on?
Yeah, I don't know.
He can still put the little ball in the hole, can't he?
I think
he's
he
decent
can,
at that, yeah.
If it was Rory versus Tiger, I know he'd win. Not on the fairways, but in terms of cultural cachet, probably, right?
Yeah. Isn't it funny that their names are both things that you would associate with big cats? He's a tiger, but Rory.
Oh yeah, he roars because yes,
he's
that's
Rory.
Good.
He's like a tiger in a sense.
He's like a tiger, but he's not.
Yeah.
The other one actually is. So yeah, fair enough.
You have to agree, they're both great. And the last information snack I have for you is that Battlefield 6 will apparently just be called Battlefield, and it's going it's going to be taking place in the near future, about 10 years from now. So
that's never been done.
Never, no. So apparently it'll have military robots, drones, all that. This is according to notorious Battlefield leaker Tom Henderson. Other things that Henderson said is that it will have a campaign in which you can choose to either fight for America or Russia, and there's also a battle royale, either separate game or mode in the works.
I like that.
Presumably an update of Firestorm now, because Battlefield 5.
True.
Oh yeah, it's true. I really like their mini campaigns they do. I like the sound. If those rumours are to be believed, I like the sound of the America-Russia mini campaigns because they do it quite well. I thought was it Battlefield V that did you do the mission as the Germans, you do the mission as the Americans, and you sort of hop about the world quite a lot. Yeah, it could it's kind of cool. I'll be up for that.
Yeah.
But, this is in contrast, I suppose, to Call of Duty, which again, this is all rumour, but the new Call of Duty is supposedly set in World War II, which again, Rich, to your point, that's never been done before.
No. But having said that, I quite liked the last World War II one they did. I thought it was very good.
It was good. I thought it was the best like COD campaign in ages, World War II. I think Sledgehammer are my favourite people that do it.
They are good. Yeah. And as we discussed yesterday, Josh, it has a guy called Paul Daniels in it.
It does
Paul
have
Daniels
a guy.
is
Yes.
in it.
Yes, it does. It does.
Lest we forget.
And one of the other rumours about it that was kind of cool, again, pinch of salt, but it was like, it could take place in the 1950s if the war carried on going. Like it might be an alternate history. Again, pinch of salt.
I don't know how I feel about that. Nah. Wolfenstein sort of did that in its own outlandish, fun way.
This would be a sort of more sober Call of Duty take on it, I guess.
I don't fancy that.
I'll play it.
So, those are your information snacks. But now it's time to talk about the big stories this week in headlines and hot takes. So, Headlines and Hot Takes is the part of the PC Gaming Weekspot where we discuss the bigger news stories of the past, well, in truth, 3 days or so since we recorded the last episode of the Weekspot. But things have happened. Lads, do you remember CD Projekt Red and a little game called Cyberpunk 2077?
Just
Never heard
about,
of it.
Yeah.
No. Don't know what you're talking about.
Little indie game.
Yeah.
Well, that's been in the news again because CD Projekt Red, they published a video on their YouTube. I'm not sure if it was initially meant to be used internally, but then was like, we'll give this out for public consumption, or it was always planned that way. I don't know, but they published this video, where they spoke about all the future of the CD Projekt Red and The Witcher and Cyberpunk and all that. And there are a lot of things to take in here, so we'll try and break.
Love these diagrams. Love them. I like the Lego bricks.
Yeah, they're good, aren't they? Well, the red blocks.
Oh, look at that. Yeah.
Oof.
We'll try and break this down as best as possible. So the first point is that they have acquired Canadian studio Digital Scapes. So they now have 4 studios under the CD Projekt Red umbrella. Head of production and CTO Paul Zadowny said, quote, "We believe that the hugely talented Digital Scapes crew is the perfect foundation upon which to build a wider CD Projekt Red Vancouver team." Point 2, I'm going to go through all this and then we'll discuss, right? So point 2 was that without actually saying, everyone, we're making a new Witcher and a new Cyberpunk, they sort of implied it because they said they're going to increase their headcount, like on top of the Canadian studio acquisition, I believe. But they're going to increase their headcount so that they can, quote, work on multiple AAA games and expansions in parallel. And this is something that they're planning to kick off in 2022. The only specific mentions of like games related to or new games coming out, because we'll get on to one that isn't, games coming out for either The Witcher or Cyberpunk. They mentioned a Witcher mobile game, and that was kind of it, really. They mentioned like anime series based on both Witcher and Cyberpunk, but nothing else. Point 3 is that the DLC for Cyberpunk is still planned, but the multiplayer standalone Cyberpunk game isn't happening. CD Projekt Red said they're now going to be focusing on developing technology that will bring multiplayer components to every game that they make. So joint CEO Adam Kaczynski said, quote, "Previously we hinted that our next AAA would be a multiplayer Cyberpunk game, but we have decided to reconsider this plan. Given our new systemic and more agile approach, instead of primarily focusing on one big online experience or game, we are focusing on bringing online into all our franchises one day." But it was still stressed that they are a single-player RPG studio. Another point was that they're apparently going to start marketing pushes for their games a little later. A quote was that, "We have learned many things from our marketing and PR campaigns for Cyberpunk 2077. Going forward, our campaigns will be much shorter. We'll wait until much closer to a game's launch before we start showing things like trailers, demos, or going in-depth about mechanics." Now, they added that, like, we'll take it on a case-by-case basis if there are opportunities for teasers and whatnot. But yeah, it seems like they're going to be a little bit more cagey with regards to that. And crunch was also addressed. So Kaczynski said, "We are putting greater focus on team well-being at CD Projekt. You cannot be an agile developer without a sustainable and caring work environment. We are working hard to minimize stress, prevent burnout, and give our employees everything they need to focus on the work with a fully positive mindset." So while nothing, there were no big game announcements or anything like that, there was a lot to take in from this. The thing that people, I suppose, are highlighting is the fact that this multiplayer Cyberpunk isn't happening. Which, I mean, after the reception Cyberpunk got, I don't know if anyone will be crying a river over that.
No. I don't know why they're so eager to shoehorn multiplayer into their games. Do we need that? Are people clamoring for it?
I can understand. I think like people that play and get really into Cyberpunk would eat up a multiplayer. I really like the idea that that they're just saying, well, we're going to put multiplayer into everything, because multiplayer isn't like really my thing on the whole. But it is nice to sort of know that you won't get those annoying announcements where they say, I don't know, we're going to do such and such a thing that excites you. And then they suddenly go, yeah, it's an ongoing live service game that's multiplayer. At least now we know that anything they do, if it's just single player, is like it'll have a multiplayer component. So it doesn't need to take up maybe a separate announcement or something. That's quite nice.
I guess. Yeah.
They also didn't specify what that component was. So like, I know, Rich, you said like, oh, what are people clamoring for multiplayer? Like, they're not saying that we're going to put team deathmatch into all our games. Like that multiplayer component could be, I don't know, it could be something like an asynchronous, like basically, I doubt they're talking about leaderboards for
right, okay,
how many people you kill or monsters you slay in The Witcher.
Yeah.
But
they're surely looking at with Cyberpunk though. Can you imagine if, I don't know, in when that game finally gets into like really good shape, imagine they'll be looking at GTA Online for a model of ongoing financial success, right? I mean, I imagine they must look at Night City and think we could set our sights on a GTA Online scenario that just keeps ticking over and keeps earning us cash while we do other things, sort of thing. Because no one else has really. The whole even Red Dead doesn't they haven't really captured the same kind of height that GTA Online has. No one else really has that, do they? I don't think. I think that's fair to say. So someone's got to take a look at it and go, yeah, we could do that. We have an impressive enough open world, maybe. Just a thought.
Yeah. No. Yeah.
So on the topic of them saying, oh, we're going to have more people in so that we can build on the success of The Witcher and, I mean, commercial success of Cyberpunk.
Yeah.
And we've made our money, so now we're going to invest in CD Projekt and have it so that we can develop 2 big AAA games at the same time. Like, what they didn't say The Witcher, as I said, or Cyberpunk 2078, but is that is it fair to assume, do you think, Josh? That,
I'd say it's fair that they're going to do. I'm really excited at the idea that they might do something like whenever you get a developer that's talented enough and clearly very good at what they do, it's always exciting to think, wow, what if they do something completely new? I just think that The Witcher is so ridiculously huge, both the reception of Witcher 3 and the TV show and the books, and the fandom is such that I think you'd be a fool not to get The Witcher 4 in the works, right?
Well, that's how they get the goodwill back, isn't it?
I think so.
By making, the goodwill and the money. I mean, it's not like it's going to sell well as well.
Oh, yeah, 100%, yeah.
But Cyberpunk definitely did a number on their reputation, I suppose.
I think it did. And I think it's important because you pointed out, it was still a commercial success. I think one of the other things that's going to get them goodwill is just the continuous ongoing support that game is getting in terms of patches and stuff. Because I'm to understand that the latest patch on last gen consoles, at least, is getting it into pretty good shape, sort of 25 to 30 frames per second. Like it's getting there. And if they do like a big single player DLC, like a kind of Blood and Wine style thing, and they say they've already said that it's going to be free. I don't know, in a year's time, a year and a half's time, I don't think their reputation will ever be the same as it was before the launch of Cyberpunk. I think that's pretty irreparable. But I think they could go a long way towards getting some goodwill back, just in the way that they're continuing to support that game. But yeah, I mean, with this, it's like if they suddenly drop The Witcher 4 on everyone tomorrow, I think a lot of people would, would be a lot happier. Certainly.
But the thing is, if they do want to capitalize on that kind of new fandom around The Witcher, I mean, it's kind of focused upon Geralt, and they've said they're not doing any more Geralt. Geralt's kind of story is over. So what would they do with The Witcher 4? Would it be Ciri's story or what?
Yeah, I think it'd be Ciri. I think a lot of people like Ciri a lot. And also a lot of people just love the world, don't they? Because the sort of trademarks of that are the world and the storytelling. But yeah, it's a good question. I reckon they'll do like a Ciri. They'll carry on with Ciri. It's kind of a cool idea.
Yeah.
Do you think they've done in the first game? Do you think they've done too much damage to the Cyberpunk name, Rich? Like, because I know what you're saying, Josh. Like, they're getting this game to a point now with, especially the latest patch, which came out at time of recording a few days ago. Like, they're getting this game to a point where it's just adding polish, and I suppose adding and just fixing all the problems that people had at launch.
Yeah.
But I mean, how do you market a Cyberpunk 2078, for example, or whatever it would
tough,
be?
Isn't it? It is tough.
I think if you saw another Cyberpunk game on the shelves and you bought Cyberpunk 2077 for one of the older consoles or whatever, and you did get all these bugs and it was an unplayable mess, you'd approach another game with great trepidation, wouldn't you? You'd be like, well, I'm not buying another one of those.
Yeah. Although their tactics sound quite good. I love I'm all for every single publisher in the world going, let's announce and start the marketing for our games way closer to launch. It'd be great if you heard about Cyberpunk 2078 and it was like, and it's coming out in 3 months. That'd be nice.
For games in general, that would be nice. Just have less of a, build up. It's just, it's too much sometimes. All the trailers and updates, just like, give me the game.
Yes.
And they could, as I mentioned, they spoke about the crunch at the studio. I mean, that's a difficult, they say, we're going to work on that well-being, and they dedicated a decent chunk of the presentation to that. I don't know. That's
it's always difficult to know because it's like, well, they have to say stuff like that.
Yeah.
And it's nice to hear, and obviously you go, okay, good stuff, but we're going to have to wait and see on that one, and we're probably going to have to wait and see from employees through speaking to people in some scenario in the future. But fingers crossed, it's nice to hear. I mean, look at it and go, okay, good stuff. Maybe they've taken it on board, sort of thing. But have to wait and see.
Well, you know what else is good to hear, lads? And something that we may have to wait for, but who knows, maybe not too long. Fingers crossed. Lads, again, a lot of rumour, I suppose, this week, but are we going to get Alan Wake 2?
Oh, yeah. This is the rumour. That's the report. That's what Jeff Grubb is saying.
Yeah,
fella.
So kind of notorious video game leaker, Jeff Grubb of GamesBeat, he was doing a live stream on the 31st of March. So the day before April Fool's, which I think is worth pointing out, we're actually pulling back the curtain a little bit. We're recording this on April Fool's Day, which don't pay attention to anything anyone says. Because, and that's this is a total tangent, but do you remember the Yakuza Like a Dragon, when that gameplay was revealed? It was on April Fool's Day.
Yeah, right.
Yeah. In fact, actually, I think I still owe you a twirl. Because I bet you a twirl, and you said something like whatever it was. You were like, "Oh no, that will actually be the gameplay," and I was like, "No way they're going to do that." Turns out it was really good. It was brilliant. I really loved Like a Dragon.
I was like, "Why would they change the formula? Why would they do something so drastic?"
But yeah, Alan Wake. This came from, as I say, Jeff Grubb the day before April Fool's, and it was during a Twitch live stream. And Grubb said, "Quote: I've heard that Remedy is going to be making Alan Wake 2 with Epic, and it should be the follow-up that fans of the series want. There was a bidding war over Alan Wake, but Epic had the best publishing deal. So Alan Wake 2 seems like it's coming. I don't know exactly when they'll announce it, but this is what I've heard." And cast your minds back to 2020, the summer of 2020, when it was announced that Remedy and Epic were going to be working on a deal. They signed a publishing agreement with Epic for two unannounced games. And at the time, it was reported that one of the games was going to be a, quote, AAA multi-platform game, and the other was going to be of, quote, smaller scale.
Oh, yeah.
Sam Lake at the time tweeted, "We're working on something exciting, something big. With Epic Games as our publisher, we have incredible resources and full creative freedom. Thrilled about this opportunity. That said, for now, that's all I can tell you." So that was 12 months ago. And I suppose, yeah, it's worth noting 12 months before that, Remedy bought the Alan Wake IP off of Microsoft because they had owned it up until that time.
Yeah.
So, like, are we talking Alan Wake 2 and Alan Wake's American Nightmare 2 here?
I don't know about American Nightmare.
That would be. I really liked that. I really liked that.
Did you? Oh, I thought it was maligned. I thought it was much maligned.
Was it? I thought people. I don't know.
Or wasn't it just kind of a horde mode? Wasn't it just like that bit with the stage, but over and over again?
It was a bit more combat heavy, but no, it wasn't. It wasn't quite like that. I don't know. Would you guys be super up for Alan Wake 2 on the whole?
Oh God, yeah, definitely. Yeah. I really loved Alan Wake. I thought it was great. Yeah. Give it me.
Well, what about you, Colm? Would you want it?
I was going to say, like, have Remedy not. And calm yourselves, lads, right? Because I think I'm talking to two Alan Wake fans. I'm an Alan Wake fan. I very much enjoyed it. Yeah. But have they not outdone themselves? They've kind of outgrown Alan Wake with Control, a game that was beloved, essentially, apart from the technical aspect, which was kind of people's main gripe with it.
Yes.
Like, that, I think, is widely considered to be their best game. Like, I don't know. Do you go back to the fella with the flashlight and the gun?
It's difficult. Yeah. Sorry. Go on, Rich. Go on.
I was going to say they could take everything they've learned from making Control and make something flashier and more polished and exciting and.
Yeah, but he's not a superhero. Like he's a Stephen King.
He doesn't have to be. It's fine.
Prestige,
they don't have to do the same game again. He doesn't have to be Jesse Faden. It's okay.
Well, I don't know. I think yeah. Go on. Sorry.
I was just going to say, like, how? All right, Jess. Well, how do you think that they modernize Alan Wake? I suppose, or do you?
For me, like, by the way, Max Payne 2, The Fall of Max Payne, still their best game. But I would say, what's weird is Control has kind of overwritten the mythology of Alan Wake, which is kind of weird. Like, Alan Wake is kind of like a Stephen King style supernatural thing, right? And then, spoilers, I guess, for people who haven't played Control, I won't give much away, but Control kind of overwrites that and sort of says, no, it's actually like more of a sci-fi thing. It's not magic, it's, dimensions and all this sort of stuff. And of course, they've got the AWE expansion that they already did with Control. I sort of think for me, I'm number one, I'm kind of happy not to have another Alan Wake. It's something I've said for ages. I think it was a really good game, but that being a really good game is like never enough for me to just have a sequel like on its own. Like you have to sort of need a sequel or like really kind of have a story that needs telling. And they kind of wrapped it up in Control with Alan Wake. And I do pick up on your point, Colm, because it's like if you play Control, I mean, what a game for a start, but also I can just fly in Control, and that's incredible.
Do you think Alan Wake should fly in this next one?
It'd be really cool if they did Alan Wake 2 and they went, but it is an AWE, it is an altered world event, and actually it's all in the Control universe, and Alan has picked up, Jesse's taught him how to fly, and he's got telekinesis now. And
I mean, that would solve your problem, Colm.
He can use his writer powers to give himself magic or something.
I was going to say, he's a writer. He can overwrite the overwrite. He can take it back to his Stephen King roots. If he can go, Jesse Faden overwrote this thing, but no, I am actually a Stephen King guy. That's the script, by the way. Remedy, if you want that, you can have that for free.
I think we've had enough Alan Wake. I think also because they milked it loads in Control, and people loved Alan Wake, but I also think that like it's got that classic cult thing where I think people do love it. a little bit more than maybe it does. I really like Alan Wake, by the way. I should say I'm sounding like an Alan Wake naysayer. I really love that game.
But every Remedy game now has a little Alan Wake Easter egg in it. It's like they have to have that.
Yeah. But that's what I mean, though. They've been too teasing on it. It's kind of annoying now. It's like, yeah, I get it. It's in the same universe. Chill out. Tell this story, though.
You've had enough, Josh.
Rich, you're there shaking your head and thinking, no, I do want more Alan Wake, but I don't know, to Josh's point, do you? Like, is it not a nice kind of little story unto itself? I mean, a story that I think that I won't spoil it, because I do think Alan Wake is a good game, but like that ending is shite.
It's mental. Yeah, it's rubbish.
But yeah.
Well, they could retcon that, couldn't they, with a sequel?
Yeah.
But you can't retcon everything. We can't just reboot Alan Wake.
I bet in the 70s, Josh would have gone, I don't want a Godfather Part 2. Godfather was great. Leave it alone.
Rich, no, I wouldn't have said that. That's different. That was a planned trilogy. No, this is... Oh, God, you know what would really suck if they just rebooted it? Enough with the reboots these days. Imagine if they were like, it's just called Alan Wake, because that's not confusing, and we're doing it again, and we're rewriting it all. That'd be rubbish.
Josh, picture this. Godfather reboot, directed by John Woo.
Well, I probably would be interested in that. Or Chad Stahelski. Then I'd go for that. Yeah.
Don Corleone goes mad with a pen.
Exactly. Yeah. Anyway, back to Alan Wake 2. Sorry, Colm.
Well, we'll see if anything gets announced. I mean, maybe today, at time of recording on April Fool's, they'll announce it, and it'll be a Yakuza style deal where people will be like, yeah, piss off.
Everyone will ignore it. Yeah.
Yeah.
They'll be like, no, really.
Turn out to be true. Yeah. But lads, it is important, because if they do, maybe it's an Alan Wake remaster, remake, perhaps could go down that route.
Yeah.
Maybe.
Yeah. Alan Rewake.
Very good. But if it is an Alan Rewake, I hope that they have backed up all their files, because that's important to do. You know, you got to keep them on those hard drives. Lads, the most important part of the PC Gaming Weekspot, it's our famous right angle. It is time for Tech Corner. And Tech Corner this week is that on the 31st of March, it was World Backup Day. Hooray! So, lads, my question to you, first of all, Josh, is what is the best thing you've ever backed up?
I don't really have a good... I do all my stuff in Google Docs, and it just saves it like there and then. You know, I'm rubbish. Exactly, yeah. So I don't really... I'm not a big backer-upper. You know,
Rich, are you a big backer-upper?
It's got to be game saves, right? In general,
oh god,
you always do. You have a security save. If you're playing a big 80-hour game or something like an Elder Scrolls or whatever, you're backing up those saves, mate. Make sure if one gets corrupted, I got another one.
I should say the PlayStation 2, Pro Evolution Soccer 3, the options files. I had a whole memory card dedicated to it because it had all the player names and all that fiddly stuff.
The one with Kalina on the cover.
Big time, yeah. Best football game ever.
The worst thing that's happened to me in relation to backing up is probably when I was sitting in my car in the big Tesco in town, and I was waiting for my friend to come out from the shop, and I'm sitting there.
I knew you were going to do this.
And
I knew it.
a VW Polo is there, and it's coming, and it's getting bigger and bigger, and I said, no, stop. Fucking asshole backed up into my into the bumper, the bonnet of the car.
That's a bad example of backing up.
That's the worst. You don't want to celebrate that on World Backup Day.
No way.
Definitely not.
No way.
No, awful.
So that's your lot for news for this week. So now it's time to talk about the games that we have been playing in something we like to call Show and Tell.
Show and tell. Show and tell. We can't afford a proper jingle.
Yeah, show and tell. I'm glad. Did you like that, Josh? It's good as
very good. That was excellent. Yeah.
The vocal stylings of one Matthew Castle. He's an excellent singer. But show and tell is the part of the PC Gaming Weekspot where we discuss the games that we've been playing over the last normally a week. It's been 3 or 4 days. I have had zero time to play any new games whatsoever. So thank Christ for Josh and Rich. And in particular, Josh. Sorry, Rich. But Josh.
It's fine.
Josh, you've played a game that I'm really interested in because I enjoyed. I was going to say the previous game of the series. It's not technically the sequel. Look, we'll talk about that.
But
Josh,
Balan Wonderworld doesn't have a previous game.
Come on.
Josh, you have played the first couple of hours of Nier Replicant.
About 10 hours now, although I can only talk about sort of some of it because it's one of those weird embargoes where you can sort of talk about some stuff but not other stuff. So, but it's also a remaster of like a game that's many years old. So, you know.
So yeah, this is the it's a remake of the Japanese version of Nier, which was essentially the same as our Nier, but the protagonist was different. That's my understanding of it.
It was nearly the same.
Yeah,
very good. Very good.
Well done.
It's kind of like the game that we got that was called Nier was actually like one of two games. In Japan, they had a sort of Pokemon Red and Blue situation where if you bought Nier on the PS3, it was called Nier Replicant, and if you bought it on the 360, it was called Nier Gestalt. And the difference is that there was a different protagonist for each version. The West never got Nier Replicant. The game that we got that was just called Nier, it was actually Nier Gestalt. So this is kind of like, for fans of Nier, this is a bit of a curio, a bit of a gem, because they would have never got to play with this. Broadly, the two things are kind of the same. It's really just the protagonist, and possibly some small touches. So if there's mad Nier fans that are clamoring at me now, I apologise, but I think it's mainly just the protagonist swap that's the big thing.
What can you talk about? What you play 10 hours? What like?
So I can say, so I've explored like a fair chunk of the game's early areas, and first thoughts, it's good. It reminds me of like the big jumping on point, I think, for a lot of people would be Nier Automata, right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Which was Platinum. So the original Nier was made by Cavia. But I was playing the combat in Nier Replicant. It's quite a bit like the combat in Nier Automata. It's quite easy, and it's not as sort of tight and good as you would expect from Platinum combat. But it's your sort of that style of hack and slash. You know, you've got your nice little parry counters and your combos. Plus, you also are followed around by a floating magic book that fires lasers at your enemies. So, you know, there's always that.
What's not to like?
Exactly. It's kind of like Devil May Cry, except instead of Dante having his two guns, there's just a book that just sort of pelts lasers at people while you hack and slash at them. So, you know,
I suppose it's sort of like the little pods you have in Nier Automata.
Yeah.
But a book. You can read it.
So I think this will be like kind of like a popular thing for people who've jumped on with Automata. Automata? I don't know.
Well, the thing with Automata is it sounds like tomato.
It does a bit, yeah. And like you're near a tomato. So let's not go down that road. But no, it's interesting. If you are to understand that Yoko Taro, I'm not massively au fait with Yoko Taro, but he's a bit of a cult game maker. And I will say that like playing Nier Replicant, even for sort of like 1 hour or 5 or 10 minutes, it kind of quickly becomes, you sort of think, well, I've not really played anything quite like this. Like the combination of the art direction and the music really puts you in a kind of surreal environment, and it also plays around with perspective quite a bit. So, I mean, it's a fully 3D hack and slash. But then for some sections, like when you go inside houses, for instance, it'll switch to a 2D plane, and you'll just explore the house as if it was a little, an old-fashioned side scroller. And then in some dungeons, it'll go overhead, and it'll be like a sort of Geometry Wars thing almost, where you're running around and you're using your book laser to fire at things.
That's very much something Nier Automata did as well, though, to be fair. So yeah.
Yeah. It's interesting for me having not played Automata and then starting with this one. And it's going to be really interesting, I think, when I do play Automata. But it's cool, and for a game that's what was it? It was 2010, wasn't it, when it originally released? It's interesting seeing some of the parallels that I just naturally draw now. Like, for instance, one of the huge areas that you're in early on, it's like a big grassy plain. And it reminded me a little bit of something like Breath of the Wild, where you can sort of, you can tame an animal and hop on its back and run around, and you're killing sheep to get their mutton, and then you can take it into little towns and sell it and get your money up, and you sort of draw those comparisons. At the time, it would have been just a completely unique concoction. So it's interesting. It's one of those, and it is a remaster, right? I mean, it's not like a remake or anything.
I was going to say, as far as I'm aware, I thought that they had actually made some areas bigger, because like they've fully voiced it.
Mm-hmm.
And yeah, I thought that they made some areas in the game bigger. That was my understanding.
Okay,
at least.
Well, fair enough. And some of them are blimmin' huge. Yeah, so fair enough. Yeah, it is interesting. The combat, I would say, is nice, but it is there's pretty much no challenge in from what I've played. Like I think I died once. And that was when my flatmate was distracting me, and I looked away from the screen, and I got clobbered by a big rock monster. So I blame him for that. But other than that, it's nice, and the parry's very, very easy. And you sort of, it's quite easy to get enough cash to upgrade your stuff fairly quickly. So before too long, you're just chewing through things with no trouble.
I like an easy game. It might be controversial, but I like a bit of casual difficulty now and again.
Nier Automata wasn't difficult. Like
was it not?
The combat was, you could kind of mow through a lot of enemies relatively easily, but it was still satisfying. Like it was still still good. And I think like the main hook of that is how. 1 minute it's a side-scrolling platformer, the next is a 3D action game, the next it's a shoot 'em up. Like, did you get any sense, if you're allowed to say it? Like, it's similar to that?
Well,
like, yeah,
it is, and it's really refreshing. I think Taro is clearly one of those people who likes to play with genre, because it is cool. You'll be sort of moving around a nice little section of hack and slash, and all of a sudden you're basically playing like an old school shmup. Like there was one section where I was on like a mine cart as it was moving through a facility, and I was sort of firing and aiming with the right stick, and I was thinking, this is just like a sort of bullet hell shmup for 5 or 10 minutes. Like that's cool. It also, I have to say though, it does do that irritating thing where a video game will use the tropes of its genre that have long since slipped into cliche, but it will also make wisecracks about using them. Yeah. As if that excuses it. I mean, Sunset Overdrive was like really big at doing that, and it pissed me off with that game a lot. It's like, oh, how stupid! Isn't this fun? Like the floating book that keeps you company in Nier Replicant will say, oh, I can't believe we're doing this stupid side quest for this woman or something. Like I can't believe this is like, who cares? Let's just plow on with the main adventure. And it's like, yeah, but fair enough, but you're still making me do it though. Like it doesn't completely excuse what you're doing. Or like for one, there's a one character who's very, very scantily clad. And so the protagonist will say, why is that woman in her underwear? And it's like, it's a little deconstruction of that genre, I guess, but it's sort of like having your cake and eating it too. I did sort of think early on, I was like, all right. I see what you're doing, but But on the whole, I really enjoy my time with it. And I think people who have come in on Automata who've never played it, or for people who are kind of, real Nier fans, but they've only played the version that was available in the West, I think this will be a pretty much a must-have.
Very good, very good. Something that isn't a must-have, I'm led to believe, is Balan Wonderworld. No.
You're joking, aren't you?
We have spoken about Balan Wonderworld on last week's Weekspot, so you don't have to go into it too much. However, it is interesting because I think the two of you have a different opinion to. I hadn't played it. Matthew played it, and he, whilst not, I'm not going to put words in your mouth, Matthew. He wasn't that keen on it, but at the same time, I don't think he saw it as the abomination that others do. Like this is getting ravaged. Like Rich, you've played a decent chunk of it. Is it? Like, is it as bad? Is it an abomination, as I say? As I tried to say.
Well, as soon as I started playing it, my face was like this, like, what is going on? It's incomprehensible. Like, I don't know why you don't know why you're doing anything. It's a platform game where the jumping is just not good at all. It's weird. It's just a weird game, and it's not particularly fun. There's a lot of backtracking and redoing the same levels you already done, and it's like it just highlights how boring the levels are. Really, having to go back and do them again. It's like, oh, come on, like this mini game now that you're seeing with Balan. You've just got to line up his shadow and press A. It's like that's not fun. That's just you've shoehorned this activity, and you've not given any thought to whether it's actually engaging or enjoyable. It doesn't matter. It's honestly,
yeah. I second those opinions. It doesn't help as well, by the way. I mean, some of my irritation with the game is irrational. Like, I was pissed off just in the first sort of 2 minutes of the game, to be honest with you. It starts out in a city, and there's a character that's breakdancing, and I don't know why, and it's some of the worst art direction I've ever seen. And then they look upset, and then they walk into a theatre, and then they find a sort of hat-wearing wizard for some reason, and then the wizard gets them to... So I have no grounding in anything that's going on in the game, coupled with, I think, the most dissatisfying jump trajectory of any 3D platform I think I may have ever played.
Yeah,
the jump is horrible. It's one of those.
Is it floaty? Is it what? Like what?
I tell you exactly what it is, right? And it was kind of the. It's a big problem in a game like this. So you hit the peak of your jump in a really kind of sudden way, and then you sort of it's that thing where you get tugged back down quite quickly. So it doesn't feel. It also, full disclosure, it really doesn't help that over the past week I've been playing Mario Sunshine. So, if you when you have to put like a really, really good video game jump, you've got like Mario on the one hand, and then you're playing this, and that's obviously that's not fair. Like not everything can stand up to Mario, but you're sort of jumping about on this, and it just doesn't feel nice. And the running animation is awful, and like the NPCs, they're just dancing inexplicably, and then when you walk up close to them, many of them just disappear. Like they're just NPCs that just disappear. And I'm just playing this thing, and I'm just angry at almost every facet of this.
I love that it makes you actively angry. That's brilliant.
I said the other day to you, Rich, but it's one of the things that used to really piss me off about Final Fantasy. I came back around on Final Fantasy. I played a remake of 7, and it was a lovely sensation of like, oh, this is brilliant. Like, I get it. Like, I understand why people like this. But Balan had that thing where it's like, why can't he just have a normal hair? Why does his hair look like? Why is it shit? Like, why are his hands and his feet massive? Like, I just look at it and I go, oh no, it's an irrational kind of, yeah.
That's the least of this game's problems, though,
it is,
isn't
to be fair. But imagine if it had the rubbish, everything else, but then it had like a coherent story at least. That would be one thing. But
do you know what? I don't even demand a coherent story. Just anything to hold on to. Just something. Like, why am I doing anything in this world? That would be nice.
Right. Okay. Why can I put on these costumes and
just anything? Anything.
Well, like Rich,
and I think
Rich, you are a man that really enjoyed the Dreamcast, aren't you? Like, that's something. Does this not scream sort of? Maybe it's more Saturn than Dreamcast. I don't know, but like, doesn't it kind of give you that old kind of Knights vibes? Like.
I mean, I suppose because the character designer is ex-Sonic Team, so he's got that kind of pedigree. There are kind of echoes of that design, but no, because it's just not a very good game.
That's fair.
Even if I like the character designs, and I don't particularly, I'm kind of with Josh on this one. Just the game is just boring. It's not fun. It's
it reminds me of. Do you remember Billy Hatcher and the giant egg?
Yeah,
it reminds me of that. In fact, actually, I think Billy
People
Hatcher
like
had
that, though, don't they?
Well, I think Billy Hatcher was more sophisticated in almost every way, and I think that was 2003, or 2002 or something. It's just a shame, especially because it's Yuji Naka. Like, I don't want to crap on the game. It's not fun, but. The guy did Sonic the Hedgehog, for Christ's sake. I mean, it's tough. Like, is it fair to say that he never really made the jump into 3D. I mean, I know people really like.
Yeah. No. I think I agree. I don't think he's ever really successfully made that jump into 3D. The boss battles end with a dance number. I mean, come on. What were they smoking?
I don't know. It's a shame. I'm going to stick with it though. Like maybe I can find some fun in with it. You know, I played for some hours.
There are little birds called Tims.
Well, that's nice. You know, the little fuzzy bird,
like chows.
Yeah, like chows. That's what I said. Yeah, exactly. Yeah,
right.
Yeah.
But is there? I don't know. Would you recommend it to somebody to play out of morbid curiosity? Does it have that going for it at all?
Oh yeah, 100. Yeah. I
mean, if it wasn't a full price game,
how much is it?
This is $60 / £50. Imagine if you spent £50 on that.
Yeah. I mean, it's interesting, like the two games that we've talked about, because on the one hand you've got Yoko Taro, and then on the other hand you've got Yuji Naka. I mean, if you're a fan of Naka's work, if you like Sonic the Hedgehog, if you like Sonic Adventure, which he also worked on, you know, or Nights in a Dream.
I mean, still don't play this.
It is nothing if not distinctive, right? I've never seen, whilst it may not be my cup of tea, there are people out there for whom it really will be, and there isn't anything quite like this sort of art style. I mean, the level design leaves a bit to be desired, but nothing looks quite like this. I mean, Naka does have a kind of singular style. So if you do like those things, then I'd say, you know, absolutely check it out. But it's its play where it lets it down, I think.
I would say if you want to be perplexed and angry, then definitely give this a go.
One game that I'm pretty sure won't make people perplexed and angry, because I believe it's quite good, and we're kind of stretching, because, like, you know, we don't talk about PlayStation exclusive or Switch exclusive games on here because we are the PC Gaming Weekspot. However,
Indeed.
Josh, you have played a Switch game recently, and it's not coming to PC for about a year, so we don't have to spend loads of time on it. But I am curious about this one because I'm pretty sure it's been like universally loved. Monster Hunter Rise.
Monster Hunter Rise, yeah, which I think is currently scheduled for PC in Q1 of 2022.
I believe so. I think it's like Monster Hunter World. There was about a year as well, I think, between console and PC. So, like, yeah, we won't spend loads of time on it, but yeah, give me your kind of just, I don't know, summarize your thoughts.
Give it the gist. Yeah, if it's one of those things where if you know Monster Hunter, you'll immediately slip into it. It's I think for a lot of people who played World and liked World, they'll slip into it all the more. It's the classic Monster Hunter formula, which is one of the best sort of smallest gameplay loops that there is in games. It just kill monster, cut bits off monster's body, make armor from it, get stronger, go and kill another monster. And that's what's not to love about that. Rise adds dogs that you can ride on the back of, which is mental, but brilliant, obviously. It also adds the wire bug, which is probably its most interesting mechanic. It's a traversal mechanic that, for me, really opens Monster Hunter up quite a lot. So think of it basically like a grappling hook, like it's you can sort of zip up onto walls, and once you're on the walls, as long as you've got the stamina, you've got like a big stamina gauge at the top, you can run up them or along them and then sort of bounce off them and sort of use the wire bug a little bit like Spider-Man. You can sort of swing great distances on it. And also use it to tie up some big monsters and ride them, and ride them into battle against other monsters. And you sort of string them up like a puppeteer. And if you press a button, you can make a monster thump another monster. So it's very entertaining.
That's pretty good, yeah. But like, is this? I don't know. Is this seen as like a sort of a Monster Hunter spin-off, or like is this a fully fledged?
Yeah.
Like, is it as big as Monster Hunter World? And
this is the funny thing, because I did think it was funny. You know, Monster Hunter World I think it's Capcom's #1 best-selling game ever, which is ridiculous. It beat Street Fighter 2 off the top spot, and yet their next decision is to release a game just for the Nintendo Switch. But you know, I say just for the Nintendo Switch, that's a big audience. It sold 4 million copies in like 3 days, I think, or something ridiculous like that. And it's a full fat Monster Hunter game. It's the next Monster Hunter game in this series. It makes a number of like smart additions to Rise for me in its traversal and its movement mechanics. And it's massive. You know, you're looking at battles that can last 30, 40 minutes, massive epic battles, really beautiful environments to explore. Actually, it's funny. On the one hand, I think your sort of primarily PC audience will be a thumbs up, and then on the other hand, it'll be a thumbs down, because one of the things I really, really love about the game is that it lends itself really, really well to being on a portable. So that's the sort of thumbs down bit for the PC audience. I know its loop is very well suited to kind of the handheld thing I played on a Switch Lite, and Monster Hunter grew famous on the PSP. It kind of really broke out on the PSP. However, also it's like the second game on the Switch to use the RE engine, which I think is just, for my money, like one of the most beautiful engines in the world. And when it does arrive on PC, I think it's going to look even more stunning. So there's that. It's kind of ups and downs. But yeah, if you played World and you liked it, this is absolutely for you. Like it is the next big full fat Monster Hunter, right. Really. And it's great. It's great.
Good. It's something to look forward to in 12 months' time.
Yeah.
That'll be good. Another game that, you don't have to wait 12 months for this. It's out now. No, we spoke about this again on the most recent Weekspot, and like really dived in deep. We gave it about 20 minutes. So again, we don't have to go in too deep on this. But Rich, you have been playing It Takes Two, a game that I believe reputable video games critique Colm Ahern called it one of the best co-op games ever. Would you agree, Rich Walker?
I think I wrote pretty much the same thing. So yeah, definitely. It's great. I played it with Elise as well, my other half. And she's not au fait with games at all. And I was surprised how well she took to it, and we managed to get through it together.
That's a very interesting point, because when I was talking about this on the last episode, I said, like, I don't think this is for kids. I don't think this is for people who don't normally play games, because I think it's quite involved. Like, it's not like, say, a Little Big Planet or I don't know, whatever else, where it's quite easy to pick up and play and figure out. Like, there's a lot going on with this because of all of the mechanics being introduced and the new ideas. But yeah, Elise kind of picked it up easy enough and was...
She did, yeah. She wrapped her head around it. And, I think the thing is that it's challenging, but it's never punishing. So to die, you've really got to fail quite spectacularly, haven't you? You've both got to kind of die at the same time. And even then, it's not much of a setback. So, we were never like, oh God, we've got to do that all again, because it's fair and even-handed. So she could take her time with the platforming as well, which was the main sticking point for her. And if she really, really struggled, I'd just snatch the controller off her and go, look, let me do it. and I was able to do that.
Spirit. Yeah, good stuff. Well, I tell you what, one of the things that I can ask you chaps, because I've not played it and I'm really excited to play it. I'm going to see if I can rope one of my flatmates into it. That studio, it's Hazelight, isn't it?
Mm-hmm.
And traditionally, like sort of big on story with the likes of Brothers and A Way Out. Looking at It Takes Two, it looks very, very mechanical, like a little bit Mario Party, a little bit like, sort of lots of mini games. Does it marry together to its story like well?
I think so, yeah.
So, well, yeah.
Is it central to what it is kind of thing? Is it trying to tell the,
There's a through line, yeah.
What do you think, Rich? Because that is probably my biggest gripe with the game is I think, not how it, like in the story, they'll be talking about how Cody will be talking about, I wanted to be a gardener and now you're in the garden. Like they do that fine.
Yeah.
But for me, the story is muddled in that some of the bosses relate to pivotal story beats. Some of them are just toys, belong to your daughter.
Yeah.
And also, without going into spoiler territory, for the first 3 or 4 hours, you have one mission that's very similar to Honey, I Shrunk the Kids, and then it does then it does something else, and it introduces a new thing. But you didn't have a problem with that, Rich, did you? Or did you think it was okay?
No. I just enjoyed the nuts and bolts of the thing, and just the constant kind of changing up of stuff. You're never bored. There's never a second to be kind of bored or, I wish we were doing another thing. Just constant stream of ideas, and I loved that about it. It's just one of the most inventive things I've ever played, and certainly the most inventive co-op game I've ever played.
That's really interesting. Like, you've both come down on like Rich is super mechanical and like super into the play angle, and then the Colm's sort of not more into the story. Obviously, you've engaged with all parts of the game, but that's interesting because that, like, looking at it, that was my takeaway. Just like, I wonder how they're gonna. It does sound a little bit higgledy-piggledy, jumbled together stuff with the story, but
I think the game itself is terrific. Like, yeah, how often it is changing and introducing ideas, which some games like that would be the game. You know, they would take this one idea, whereas here it's just constantly changing. So yeah, I would recommend you play it, Josh. I'm
gonna get on it. Yeah, I will do it.
Yeah, definitely. What I will say is that the story was kind of good enough background and of enough interest that it propelled me through the game as well. But it's mainly the ideas and the mechanics that are the most compelling thing about it.
Fair enough.
The book?
The book? Yeah, he's annoying. Yeah, he's an irritant, to be fair.
Right, yeah, that's a character that is a book, right?
Yeah. Similar to Nier Replicant. Yeah. It all comes full circle.
Yeah, it's 2 games this week. Yeah, lovely.
So those are the games that we've been playing over the last couple of days. So now it is time to test the knowledge of Josh and Rich in something we like to call Mystery Steam Reviews. Yes, Mystery Steam Reviews is the part of the PC Gaming Weekspot where normally I, Colm Ahern, test the knowledge of Matthew Castle and he tests the knowledge of I, but this week I, Colm Ahern, will be testing the knowledge of one Josh Wise and one Rich Walker. I'll bring you up to speed, but I think, I think you'll be okay with the rules, really, but we've changed them slightly. So the rules for this week's Mystery Steam Reviews are as follows. I bring 5 Steam reviews to the MSR arena, but I omit the name of the game associated with each review. Josh and Rich must correctly guess the game attached to each of their reviews. They'll get 2 each, and there will be 1 tiebreaker. 1 correct answer equals 1 point. While both Josh and Rich have 90 seconds on each Mystery Steam review, they also have help in the form of 3 lifelines. These can be used at any stage during battle and also pause the 90-second timer. Each lifeline can be used once, and they are as follows. Question, where the hot seat haver gets to ask a yes or no question. Second opinion, where a second review is given to the warm chair sitter. And genre, where the genre of the game is revealed to the one with the warm arse. Yeah, is that all clear, lads? Are you all kind of up to speed?
Sounds good.
Great stuff. Now, we normally theme Mystery Steam reviews, but this week, what I've done is kind of a bit of a remix of old Mystery Steam reviews. So I've picked out 5 MSRs from previous MSRs. And I will, when I'm giving you these, I'll start you off with what the topic was, what the theme was that week. So you'll be able to get in the right headspace, I suppose, as it were.
Okay.
We're going to go Josh, Rich, and then a tiebreaker where the 2 of you will both be answering.
All right.
So, yeah, everyone clear and ready to kick on?
Let's do it.
All right, okay. Josh Wise, your first Mystery Steam review is as follows. Ammo is too scarce, resulting in a cricket bat simulator. And that's from One Bar Wonder. It is not recommended. 14.3 hours on record. And this category, this theme, was video games set in the UK. Josh, your 90 seconds starts now.
Watch Dogs Legion.
Is that your final answer? You can.
Oh wait, no, we have to do. We can't just like rattle off the guesses.
Well, no, you have to get like Who Wants to Be a Millionaire. We ape everything from Chris. You have to give me your final answer. But remember, you have those lifelines. You can pause the timer at any stage.
Yeah. Okay, all right. I'm gonna do the lifeline that. Okay. What was the hot seat have a lifeline?
Okay, we're gonna pause. We're gonna pause the timer at 59 seconds. The question is it? Question is what you want to use. Okay. Well,
oh yes.
What is your question?
Okay. Oh, okay. Christ, it's that one.
Well, you don't. You can use one of the other ones if you want.
Okay. No. Do you know what? Let me do the other one. That's the genre one. That's a good one. I'll do the genre one.
Okay.
Please.
So the genre of this video game, as I pull it up here, is, where is it? I'm scrolling my page. The genre of this video game is a first-person survival horror video game. That's according to wikipedia.org. A first-person survival horror video game. Restarting the timer, 59 seconds now.
Okay, first-person survival horror video game set in London. Well, that one... Okay, all right. Oh no, because I'm thinking like Zombie U, but then did Zombie U drop the U and it was just Zombie and it came out for everything? Is that a thing that happened? Oh god. And do I use up another lifeline on question number 1? It's too tense.
30 seconds.
It must have come to PC. Zombie. There's no other London games that are survival horror games, are there? I quite like this timer. It just lets me sort of muse in real time. Oh, the music's brilliant. All right, no, do you know what? I'm just going to take a pop. My guess will be Zombie. I think, yeah, Zombie. Drop the U, just Zombie. Or maybe Zombie U, I don't know. Yeah, just Zombie.
Is that your final answer?
Yes.
So, Josh, after being a little bit muddled with the lifelines, you got there in the end, and a very good use of genre. It revealed quite a lot. A first-person survival horror video game, which led you to the game that obviously first came out on Wii U, Zombie U, and you thought that there's cricket bats in that's set in the UK. Did it come to PC as just a Zombie? Josh Wise, I can tell you that the correct answer is Zombie.
Yes! Yes!
Very good.
Well done.
Very good.
Thank you very much.
Just for the record, I'd have guessed the same, but well done, Josh.
Well, it's not your turn, is it? So irrelevant information.
So, Rich, your first Mystery Steam review. The category is PC ports of Xbox and PlayStation games. So games that were first exclusive to those platforms. So, Rich, your first Mystery Steam review is as follows. Tony Hawk Pro Skater with guns. 10 out of 10. And that's from Crowman. It is recommended 83.1 hours on record, 78.2 hours at time of review. Richard, your time starts now.
Oh my god. What the hell is this? I mean, the first thing that comes to mind is Total Overdose, but that's ancient, and it's probably not that. Oh man. Something that can I ask a question?
Oh, yeah, we're going to pause the timer at 1 minute and 12 seconds. Rich Walker, use your question. Go on, what would you like to ask?
Is it something that was released recently?
I'm going to have to ask you to define recently.
In the last few years, like 3 or so years.
3 or so.
Let's say 5 years.
Okay.
Was it released in the last 5 years?
It was released in. You're asking me, was it originally released or?
Yeah.
Okay. Was it originally released in the last 5 years? No, it was not.
No.
It was not released originally in the last 5 years. Rich, your timer restarts now.
Okay. Okay. Tony Hawk's Pro Skater with guns.
You have your genre, your second opinion.
Oh yeah, remember your other lifelines.
Do I squander my lifelines? Is the question.
They're very good lifelines, by the way. I like the lifelines.
Well, it's obviously a shooter. It's obviously something where you're racking up score. So arcadey, loads of tricks and things. And I should know this. I should know it. I'm positive I've definitely played this game.
You 100%.
Reckon? Yeah, definitely.
Love the mind games, Josh.
Definitely.
Yeah, I like psyching him out. Yeah, have you? Have you though? Think about it. Think, Rich. Think.
I Hold on, it was genre and what was the other one?
Genre and second opinion, which is another Steam review. You've 12 seconds.
Give me a second opinion,
okay,
please.
We're gonna
Give me a
pause,
second opinion because I'm stumped.
Pause the timer at 12 seconds. Rich, the second opinion of this video game.
Yep.
Lots of fourth wall breaking, absurd humour, superpowers, great movement mechanics, ellipses.
I've got it.
If you like games like Saints Row 4, you will definitely enjoy this one.
I've got it. Mm-hmm. It's Sunset Overdrive. Final answer.
Oh.
I think that's right. Yeah. Final answer, Chris. I'm going to say Sunset Overdrive.
Don't even
Final
need to
answer,
ask
Chris.
him. All right. Rich, you were pretty stumped there for a bit.
I was.
It led you to really question everything. Funnily enough, your question lifeline didn't really reveal much because the game wasn't originally released in the last 5 years. But the second opinion really opened up a new avenue for you, in particular a sunsetty one called Sunset Overdrive. Rich Walker, I can tell you that the correct answer is Sunset Overdrive.
Yes. Woohoo.
Good work. 1-1. Josh, you still have your second opinion and your question left. And the next Mystery Steam review concerns video games with bald playable characters.
Right. Okay.
So, Josh Wise, are you ready for your second Mystery Steam review?
Big time. Lay it on me.
Fat bald dude with a bad temper simulator. And that's from Confi. It is recommended 111.9 hours on record, 105.6 hours at time of review. Josh, your time starts now.
Okay, all right.
I mean, best game ever.
Obviously, yeah.
Yeah.
It's the fat thing that's thrown me, because Agent 47's not fat. Kratos put on a bit of weight, but he's still, you wouldn't describe him as fat.
He's hench.
He's hench, isn't he? Yeah. Fat, bald guy with a bad temper. He's angry and he's bald and he's fat. But then is he? Because it could just be a Steam reviewer who's being a bit silly.
That never happens.
You can't exaggerate on the baldness though. You could exaggerate on the bald protagonists with a bad temper. I mean, did God of War even come to PC? I don't think it did it? Damn, 30 seconds. Okay, can I use a lifeline, please?
You can. We're going to pause the timer. 26 seconds. What lifeline? Second opinion or question?
Oh, can I have a second opinion, please?
You can, of course. So the second opinion of this Mystery Steam review is: a struggling alcoholic has a bad week at work. Struggling alcoholic has a bad week at work. And I'm going to restart the timer. 26 seconds now.
Struggling alcoholic has a bad time at work. Fat alcoholic, bad time at work. Okay. Is it? Yeah, I'm not going to use my other thing.
Gonna have to push you. Gonna have to push you, Josh. Gonna have to push you.
It's Disco Elysium.
It's not right, is it? I know what it is.
So, fat bald dude with a bad temper simulator. You were trying to think of bald playable protagonists or playable characters. You were thinking of Agent 47, but he isn't fat. He's quite trim, actually. Very lean man.
Not that angry either.
No, quite stoic. So who could this be? Now, the second opinion spoke about a struggling alcoholic has a bad week at work, which you felt feels like you had a bit of an epiphany. You've landed on Disco Elysium. Josh Wise, I can tell you that the correct answer is Max Payne 3.
Yeah. Yes, obviously it is. Damn.
Rich Walker, this is for you to take the lead. So the category of this Mystery Steam review, it was in a theme that we chose. It was underwater water-based video games. It was nice to be back in Rapture again. 10 out of 10. And that's from Camille. It's recommended 14.9 hours on record, 10.2 hours at time of review. Rich, your time starts now.
Okay, well, it can't be the obvious choice, can it?
Imagine if it just was, though.
No, it can't be.
Can't it? Don't know. Could be.
I'm gonna have to take a second
it.
opinion, please. I need a second opinion because there's too many possibilities.
Pause the timer at 1 minute and 10 seconds. The second opinion of this is horror elements are not satisfied. I feel like they mean are not as satisfying as Outlast or Dead Space series. It's basically a first-person stealthy game. Solving myth without map directions can be both interesting and annoying. People who enjoyed Prey would totally love the background theme. And the concepts of the plots are really masterpiece of work, like Blade Runner standard.
Why me? Okay. Sounds a bit hyperbolic, but
so I'm going to restart.
I've got it.
Oh, you have it?
I think I have it. Yeah.
Okay, well, I'm going to restart the timer. 1 minute 10 seconds. But you have time, Rich, if you want to talk it through in your head, or.
Okay. Well, I can't think of anything else it could be, so I'm just going to go ahead and answer and say that it's Soma. Final answer.
Is that your final answer?
That is my final answer, Chris. Soma. Soma. Soma.
Rich, you identified something that we kind of wrestle with here in Mr. Steam Reviews. Is it the obvious answer here? Like, I
think I'm wrong.
It was nice to be in Rapture again. 10 out of 10 read this review. You asked for and used your second opinion, which...
I just realised it could be something else.
Which shed some light on it, spoke about, compared it to Outlast, Dead Space, Prey, etc., etc. Games that you could compare either a BioShock or a Soma 2. But Rich Walker, I can tell you that the correct answer, in fact, is Soma.
Oh, see, I thought it might be the other one with the Tesla stuff, that game.
Close to the Sun.
Close to, I thought it was like,
I thought it was.
To the sun,
I thought it was going to be close to the sun.
I said it was a tiebreaker, but look, while we're here, because Josh, you can tie it here. A draw is a respectable and accepted result here on Mystery Steam Reviews.
Fair play.
So we're going to go and do the final Mystery Steam Review, which is... Both of you have 1 minute and 90 seconds on this.
Excellent.
Josh, you have your question lifeline, and Rich, you have your genre. But remember, lads, when you use your genre, you're also kind of helping the other one as well. So that's something to keep in mind. This one came from the category was games that involve food and drink in a meaningful way. So, both of your final Mystery Steam Review is as follows. Made me a vegan. And that's from K-Popolypse. It is not recommended after 0.4 hours on record. Josh and Rich, your time starts now.
I'm going to take genre, please, because I don't have a clue.
Okay, we're going to pause the timer at 1 minute and 24 seconds. The genre of this is a platform game. A platform game.
Platform game involving food.
I'm going to restart the timer now. And Josh, you have your question.
Yes.
Presumably something horrific and meaty.
Okay, can I please use my question?
You can. I'm going to pause the timer at 1 minute, 10 seconds. Josh, your question.
Thank you very much, Lee. Was this game made... I'm going to caveat it and just say more or less by like one person.
More or less by what? Can you give me a...
I think it was basically made by one... I mean, it might have... It's that classic thing where they say it's made by one person, but actually I freelanced someone for a little bit of code. But okay, is it like known, I guess, for being made by one person? Is that its thing?
I'm going to have to answer the question you have asked. And I am going to say no.
Okay. What's... Okay, is that because I asked it in a silly way? Oh, I sort of messed it up with the way I asked, didn't I?
Restart the timer now.
I'm going to have a punt, and I'm going to say what I think Josh is thinking. I'm going to say Super Meat Boy. Final answer.
Wait, but what happens if Rich is wrong and I still have... Do I still have guesses?
Well, what we're going to do...
You still have time, right?
What we're going to do is we're going to pause the timer at 59 seconds. I didn't think this part through. We're going to pause the timer at 59 seconds, and we'll come back to Josh if Rich is incorrect. So, Rich, is that your final answer?
It is, yeah. I'm going to say Super Meat Boy. Yeah.
So, the Steam review made me a vegan based around games that involve food and drink in a meaningful way. The platform game, genre Lifeline, opened up a couple of possibilities to you, Rich. But Josh asked a question, was it made by one person? It isn't. But that still seemed to twig something in you, Rich. You said Super Meat Boy.
Team Meat.
You said Super Meat Boy. I can tell you that the correct answer is... Super Meat Boy.
Oh.
Yes.
Damn.
Oh, sorry,
done.
Josh.
No, it's good swooping. Because I was angling for Steven's sausage roll, but then that's more like a sort of puzzle game, I guess. Or is it?
So you weren't on the trail of Super Meat Boy?
No,
that's what sort of tipped me off. Oh.
Well done, Rich. Yes.
That's brilliant.
Burning Questions is the part of the PC Gaming Weekspot where indeed we take your burning questions. That's what the Screaming Man ushers in. You can email us at any stage throughout the week, weekspot@rockpapershotgun.com, and then we may read your correspondence out on the show. A few people got in touch. First of all, we have a question here from Ross. Ross asks, any particular Easter eggs you are looking forward to this weekend? Now, it has, it's coming up at time of recording. It's obviously passed since we've last recorded. But yeah, are either of you planning on munching on any special kind of like fancy Easter eggs? Or
for me, Elise has got in a couple of vegan Easter eggs because we're both smug vegan people. So I'm eager to try that. And I also learnt last night they're making a vegan Kit Kat, which is very exciting. Very excited about that. So, I don't think that's out yet, but I've got a nice vegan Easter egg. I can report back on my Twitter if you want.
Josh, however, Josh is a monster and he loves a bit of dairy.
Big time.
Are you going to be getting any fancy Easter eggs or...
Yeah, do you know what? I am when it comes to Easter, I don't really go fancy. I love a high street Easter egg. And recently I've been sort of borderline obsessed with Whisper Golds. So if Whisper Gold is offering an Easter egg, I'm definitely going to hunt it down. Controversial. I'm not a massive fan of just the cream egg. And therefore the cream egg Easter egg. I think they're fine,
The cream egg has sugar in it. So you got to be careful.
Yeah. I was blown away by that recent revelation.
That expose just blew my mind. I was like, no.
I know. Yeah.
It has what?
I know. Yeah, it's nuts. Really mad, isn't it? I'm gonna hunt down a Whisper Gold. That's what I'm gonna do.
Do you like the Easter egg with a mug? That's good.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. I just want more chocolate. If the mug means I get less chocolate, I'm not a fan of that. I want to maximise. But we got too many mugs, to be honest with you.
An Easter egg mug is excellent.
I've got a cow and chicken mug at home, and that'll do me fine.
Fair enough.
But fair enough. I'm gonna Whisper Gold or a twirl. If I can get my hands on a twirl Easter egg, I'd be extremely happy.
I'm gonna sound very fucking hoity-toity here. But
have we got a linter?
We've got a linter. Boys.
Oh, classic. Yeah. They are great.
I am buzzing to have this lint chocolate.
Do you like those little bunnies with the little bell collar?
Yeah.
The little bunny.
They are good. They are good.
Yeah,
a friend of mine just got a bag of the Lindt like white chocolate little mini eggs and they've got the gooey stuff in the middle. Oh my god! I will hold my hands up to Lindt. They've got an incredible product there. So fair enough to you.
Well done, everyone at Lint. You're doing fabulous work. Ryan got in touch. Ryan said, what game do you feel most ashamed of putting a lot of hours into? Everyone has some dumb piece of brain candy that sucked far too many hours of their precious life away because they just couldn't control themselves.
Do you know what I really regret is pouring a lot of time into almost every single PES game, just changing the names, changing all the kits, like making logos when you could do that. And I just look back and I think, why?
That is a terrific shout. That because I did similar, not probably as much as you because I was more FIFA growing up, but for me it would have also been back in day with the SmackDown versus Raw games and things, making TNA wrestlers.
Oh my God! Yeah,
of course. Nice.
I'll bet you went nutty over that.
The amount of time put into that, just an utter waste.
I bet you never even played as them, right?
Yeah, very rarely.
Yeah.
I don't know what my big times like. I put an awful lot of time into Grindstone, but then I don't really feel bad about that because Grindstone was terrific. I did play Pokemon Go for a lot, and I felt silly after it because it got me walking around loads for like 2 weeks, and I put an awful lot of time into it. But then I just had a box full of like lots of Pokemon that I didn't care about, and the app is now long off my phone. And I look back on those 2 weeks and I think, what a way. Mind you, I did have some exercise in hot weather, and that was nice.
Yeah, it's not a waste.
So Christ knows I need it now, but you know.
Oh, we all do, Josh. We all do.
Yeah.
And in a follow-up, Nick said, jumping off from Ryan's great question, what game have you looked back at the hours listed on Steam and have been amazed that you sunk that much time into, have had so little ongoing impact on your memory? Skyrim for me, loved Oblivion, but hours sunk into Skyrim, loads of hours sunk into Skyrim, and honestly can't remember much. So, I understand the two, like Rich, you write for an Xbox and PlayStation side, Josh predominantly console. So like, it doesn't necessarily have to be something in your Steam library that is loads of hours.
I'll tell you what, I do have a couple of things. Like number one, which was in Steam because we did have it on PC at that time, was NBA 2K18, and I think by the end of the year it was like 900 hours or something.
Wow.
But I mean, it was but we all sort of play it in the flat, so it does add up. It wasn't just me, so that one sticks out. But I tell you what, that I put like a lot of hours into it, like over 60 hours, was Cyberpunk actually.
But you can remember, like, the question is like that you can't remember much about.
But that's what I was going to say. Like, if you ask me about the story or actually like what happened, I mean, I know that Keanu Reeves was in it, but I can't actually tell you like the plot of what my character was doing.
Johnny Silverhand. Johnny Silverhand.
I do love a bit of Johnny, don't get me wrong. I mean, that was good, but I can't remember my ending or like what my character was trying to do. But that's sort of slightly less. I can remember the game, but yeah, those would be my two, I think. Massive time sinks. I'm
kind of similar in the Skyrim experience. I put a lot of hours into that, and it's really just tiny little snippets that I remember. Like, is it Lydia, sworn to carry your burdens, marrying Aiella the Huntress, moving in, and then coming home to see her one time, and then her trying to kill me because I'd killed one of her friends.
That sounds like a scrapbook of memories you got going on there.
Yeah, but I don't remember much beyond that, though. It's little sort of funny things that I tend to remember.
Not like the big dragon plot and all that sort of stuff.
Yeah. I need to play it again. I think I want to go back and play the special edition and, refresh my memory.
I have an odd one because looking at how many hours I've put into games on Steam, like one that's high on the list, and I don't know why. I have a feeling I must have paused it and walked away from it for a week or something. But do either of you remember Transistor?
Oh yeah, that was a cracking game. Oh, I think it was.
Well, that's the thing, right? It's a very good game, and I really like it. Is gameplay wise, I think it's great. It felt kind of quite refreshing at the time because you go into it expecting this sort of real-time hack and slash game, and you're like, it's a grid-based Maybe it was turn-based. I can't honestly remember. But
wasn't it? Yeah.
Like, I couldn't tell you anything about that story. I think your husband or friend or somebody might be stuck in a sword, and that
it's a talking sword. Yeah.
But,
No, it's true actually. Yeah, and it was blimmin' long. I think it used a kind of live action-y grid-based system for its combat. Yeah. No, you're right. I can't tell you anything about Transistor. It looked nice. I liked it too. But yeah, it's a good one.
I don't remember it being long. I don't remember it being really long.
Like, that's the thing. I don't know if I do either. Like, I don't know.
Wow.
And Jojo got in touch. Jojo said, I have a question that burns. What do you think of VR? I recently tried a friend's Oculus and was pretty damn impressed. The 3D drawing and other creator tools are excellent. But is VR gaining any momentum for gaming? Is it time to buy the equipment yet, or is the tech still very much evolving?
From a console perspective, I suppose it is, because Sony have announced that they're making another PSVR,
Indeed.
Which I could be interested in. But isn't like the new Oculus headset, is it the Index or something? Isn't that supposedly
the
some
Valve
good
Index
stuff?
But
the Valve Index, sorry. Isn't that quite hot?
Well, the thing is, like, if you look at the top tier versions of whatever, be it the Vive, the Oculus, the Valve Index, like, I don't think anyone is going to tell you that they're shite. Like, I think that they work quite well, and put on the goggles and you're like, oh, this is cool or whatever. I think it's just all about that barrier to entry, or the barrier to entry is money. It's just like the cost of it. And Half-Life Alyx was a good, it's apparently a great VR game, or just a great game in general, but it just wasn't enough for whatever reason to build that base, that audience.
Well, it's one game. So the outlay for all the hardware for one game, no matter how good it is always going to be a tough pill to swallow, right?
It's bonkers. It is bonkers, and it's really annoying because I do really want to play it, but I just don't want to play it. When you're getting over thousands of pounds to play again.
Yeah,
I think, like,
crazy.
I guess in that sense, is it fair to say that Sony's sort of leading in terms of making VR accessible? I guess it would be on the console, right? Like PSVR is only what, 200 quid or so. I will say that, like, I am, like, broadly speaking, I am a fan of VR. Like, I really like I like that Blood and Truth game. That made me laugh a lot. And it had Colin Salmon in it. There was good stuff. The shooting was good, and the fun stuff in it was just sort of like holding up guns to your face and just sort of like looking at them, like that sort of stuff.
Yeah, what I've experienced of VR has been interesting, and I'm keen to explore it more. But whether I want to part with hundreds of pounds, or in some cases over 1,000, I can't kind of square that.
And I do still wonder if it's like there yet. Like, I've never worn a VR headset and thought, oh, like this is brilliant. This is the final. Like, I do still think it needs to be lighter. I do still think it needs fewer wires. Is it the Vive that requires that you have a whole room of your house with the little units in the
things,
bottom? The little depth measuring things. I mean, that's terrific if you can get it. But no, my overall stance to VR is like big thumbs up. Don't think we're quite there yet, but the stuff I've played, I do love it. And I'd be super intrigued to see how it develops in like the next 2 or 3 years, because the Sony's decision to sort of back it, whilst I know that's a sort of console-centric thing, it ain't going anywhere for, it's what we have now is going to continue to develop. It's not like those early botched attempts in like the 80s and the 90s when they, you had like the Virtual Boy, but it didn't catch on. Like, this iteration of VR that we have had for the last couple of years, it doesn't seem to be budging. Like, it's going to be this until it gets good, right?
It basically feels like it'll really take off when it becomes affordable. That's the main obstacle at the moment.
And it needs, because Josh, you talk about like putting things up to your face and blah blah. Like, Half-Life Alyx is all that, but also apparently a good shooter and story on top of it. But like, one game does not virtual reality make. Like, you need.
Sure.
Yeah.
It's kind of, I suppose, like, from kind of relating to you and consoles and whatever else. That's why I don't really have much of an interest in like a PlayStation or a new Xbox at this point in time, because like, sure, all right, okay, I'd like to play Miles Morales maybe, but not for 500 quid. Or I'd like to play, so like, if you have a PC, it's all right. Like, VR is similar in that, do I want to play Half-Life Alyx to the point where I'm going to fork out that much money?
Yeah, for sure. It doesn't have enough of those killer. I know Boneworks was supposed to be good. The great like VR games that you can name right now are sort of like the
Job Simulator,
the few. Yeah. There's only a handful. Yeah, and also I think they're still learning the rules. Like fair enough. I haven't played Alyx. It might change it, but we're still at that kind of Super Mario 64 stage where it's like, well, has anyone truly nailed walking and looking without making me feel like I'm going to be sick? Like, I think there are still rules that have yet to be fully nailed down. But like, yeah, thumbs up though. I really want to play Alyx. Really want to play Half-Life Alyx.
Yeah. So yeah, that's your lot for questions. So please do, if you have questions, email us whenever you would like between now and the next show, which is probably actually about a week and a half in terms of recording. Weekspot at rockpapershotgun.com. And now it is time to bid the listener adieu and round out this week's episode of the PC Gaming Weekspot. Of course, if you enjoyed this episode, there are other things you can do, other ways you can get a piece of us. Most notably, you can follow us on social media. I am at Colm_Ahern. The not here Matthew Castle is at Mr. Basil _Pesto, but if you want to follow him, he'll be back on next week's show. You can follow Josh on Twitter at JoshyWise. Rich is at RichieW82, and I just want to point out, lads, I got just off the top of my head those two.
Nice. Lovely stuff. Yes.
If you want to talk to some like-minded people, head over to Discord, discord.gg/rockpapershotgun. Also, if you want the video version of this week's Weekspot, youtube.com/rockpapershot. And don't forget to like, comment, subscribe, ring the bell, all the YouTube-y stuff that people do. But if you prefer audio, subscribe to the PC Gaming Weekspot via all your podcatching apps, Stitcher, TuneIn, Spotify, Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, etc., etc. And also subscribe to Rock Paper Shotgun's other podcasts, the Electronic Wireless Show and Warzone Audio Bang. But for all of your PC gaming needs, keep it on rockpapershotgun.com. Lads, it has been an absolute pleasure having you on.
Do we get to plug our shit yet?
Yeah, plug.
We still haven't plugged our shit.
Plug away. Rich Walker, what?
So,
shameless.
So I'm on XboxAchievements.com, PlayStationTrophies.org. If you want to go and read my brilliant It Takes Two review and get more of my incredible thoughts, brilliantly written, incisive insights, do that. Or don't. It's up to you.
Josh, where can people read the work or plug whatever you'd like to play? If you'd like to talk about Lindt chocolate again, it's pretty good.
Yeah, Lindt chocolate's great. I mean, if the people at Lindt are listening to this, I'll be up for some sort of sponsorship. If you want to send me some Lindt eggs, I'll be well up for that. VideoGamer.com, if you're interested. You can hear me ramble about things in our weekly pod.
Me and Josh do a podcast, where we chat a load of bollocks.
Yeah. We do. And I just wrote a thing. What did I just write? I can't remember.
Mario Sunshine.
Oh, that's right. Yeah. Check that out if you're interested and you got a Switch. I imagine a lot of PC players have a little cheeky Switch in their cupboards.
I know, maybe.
I do. Sort of seems like. Yeah, well,
Probably.
There you go. Sort of coexist nicely. But yeah. Anyway.
So do that. Visit VideoGamer.com, XboxAchievements.com, PlayStationTrophies.org, and of course listen to the Video Gamer podcast as well. It is a marvellous, one of my favourites, lads. One of my favourites.
Thanks.
Thank you.
But now it is time for my least favourite part of the show. This is the part of the show where we bid the listener, the viewer, the consumer adieu. So say goodbye, Josh Wise.
Goodbye.
Say goodbye, Rich Walker.
Goodbye and thanks for having us.
Say goodbye, Colm Ahern. Well, Gaurav Mila Matagut, Josh, August Rich, and Sloan Gafford.